This is a testimonial about the program from one of our students. And so give this a read. This is from someone who took their last course, and then they were asked to contribute a comment about their experience in the program. And so I think the last line of this quote is probably the part of it that jumps out at me. Maybe another part jumps out at you, but the student is very appreciative to the faculty and for the things that they've learned in the program. And to me, in addition to this being a life-changing experience, which you see listed in the quote, to me, this suggests that this person is preparing to leave us ready to take action and participate in not only in employment, but also in solving some of the world's big problems. And everybody on the call knows the world has no shortage of big problems, and instructional design and learning design and technology, as you study it at George Mason University, positions you to, be at the table looking at some of the communities, your local communities, or nationally, or even globally, some of the world's biggest problems. And I'm happy to take questions about that once we get through the presentation. There's plenty of examples about it. And so now is the time for us to talk a little bit about ourselves. And so I want to turn this back to Dr. Dabbagh to share a little bit more about her background, and then I'll talk briefly about my background. And then we have two other faculty members who are here with us tonight, and they're going to share a little bit about their work and what their vision is for students and for the program. So Dr. Dabbagh?
Yeah, and can we stop is it gonna text everything that I say? I guess. Okay, so I'll be brief because we have a great team for you here, great team of faculty for the Masters of Science in Learning, Design, and Technology, and myself and Dr. Wilson, Dr. Giacumo, and Dr. Fake, I've been at Mason the longest, I think, 25 years and counting. This is actually my 26th year, and I graduated with my PhD from Penn State. As I mentioned, it was called Instructional Systems Design, and I like to teach courses on how to design meaningful learning interactions. I've written books on online learning, meaningful online learning, and lately with my colleague, Dr. Helen Fake, who's actually a graduate of our doctoral program as well. We've just written a book on designing personalized learning experiences. So I really love our field, and my area of expertise was in online learning for a long time, and also in problem solving and how to design training that is for higher order thinking skills and problem-based learning approaches. And lately I've shifted into mostly personalized learning experiences. And just for that comment that Dr. Wilson shared about the testimonial that last sentence that he mentioned, I want to say that the program is, you don't have it, no exams, no thesis, no quizzes, formal quizzes, no exams. Every course that you take in this program has a design component. It's all about design. So our field is instructional design or learning design. So you become designers. It's all about design. And every course that you take, you design something, a product, a training video. You use the principles of instructional design. So there are no midterms, no finals, no thesis. We build in projects and design components in every one of our courses. And Dr. Fake will talk about the user experience design courses later in the in the presentation. Thank you.
So I'm Doug Wilson, Dr. Doug Wilson, and entering my fourth year at George Mason University. And this is actually my second career or third career. I've had a couple of different careers. And so I came to instructional design as a faculty member at a community college and saw that we had problems graduating students. And so I wondered, how was I going to fix a problem of a 50% graduate with my student population, disadvantaged students at the time? And I discovered that there was a whole body of knowledge available to me that brought strategies to the classroom, that allowed me to bring strategies to the classroom to move students forward when nothing else seemed to work. And so in one of my first projects as a teacher, we implemented some technology, wrote up a design plan, and we instantly went, not instantly, but I would say after about 16 weeks, we went from what had been a 50% pass rate to an 85% pass rate based on the kind of things that you're going to be learning about in this program, instructional design and technology. So I got turned on by that and decided that I was going to go back to school late in life and earn a doctorate because I wanted to do a deep dive on all of the things that we now talk about in this program. And I think if anything, I actually became a good student later in life. I wasn't always a great student. And in one of my prior careers, I was a television news reporter, and so traveled all over the world, all of the continents. And doing that really allowed me to like open my head literally. And so if you want to have someone who's been out there and done these things and has a lot of experience in the world, you know, Dr. Dabbagh and I have those experiences, and I think that would be a great reason for you to come to our program. A lot of what we do is coaching. You do the heavy lifting of the reading and the research, and then, as Dr. Dabbagh said, making these projects. And we're a project-based or inquiry-based shop. And what this means is when you leave us, you have a portfolio of things that you can show an employer, and it's informed not only by our skill and our research abilities as social scientists and as instructional designers, but also by life experiences that allow us to, give you what you need when you need it, independent of the reading and the papers that you're going to write, which is also a heavy lift. So I want to move on and introduce our other faculty members. And Dr. Lisa Giacumo, our newest faculty member. Lisa?
Hi, everyone. It's great to be here tonight. Thanks so much. I'm super excited about joining up with George Mason University this fall. I have 9 years of experience teaching 100% online in learning design and technology, organizational performance, and workplace learning focus. I am a tenure track professor. I'm coming in at the associate rank. I have experience working in organizations, including for-profits, nonprofits, higher education, government, military, Department of Defense, both in the US and abroad. I started teaching about 30 years ago at age 16 in aquatics, which eventually led to community education and health and safety. And then I did some K-12 enrichment programs and urban after-school programs for adolescent interventions, as well as I did a stint in a residential psychiatric treatment facility, actually 2 different ones. So eventually I found myself teaching foundations of education and survey of special education courses at a local community college. And I love the community college. That's where I kind of entered into my professional career in higher education. And I loved it so much that I decided that I wanted to pursue a PhD and do that forever. So I chose to focus on learning and technologies for my PhD. My father was in the military, and he brought home our first family computer in the 1980s, and I was fascinated. We were the first ones on our street with one of these things, and we only had it because he was in the military, and that's how things went. I figured out how to program it and use my modem to call my grandparents, because at that time you weren't allowed to call people long distance, at least not in my house. I don't know about yours. I realized at age 9 that that machine could open a lot of doors for me. And my mother was a high school biology teacher, so my family was always focused on learning and teaching. And so I followed those interests into graduate school and eventually found myself learning how to code web pages. Who'da thunk, right? And then use them in teaching and learning. So when I got to Arizona State University for my PhD, I started a graduate assistantship teaching pre-service teachers who would eventually be practicing in pre-K through 12 classrooms, integrating technology in teaching and learning. But I also started to research blended learning environments to support adult learners at the university level. And so from there, I started to learn about applications for educational technology and instructional design in business settings, right, at the global level, not just in the United States. And I got really excited about that and took some consulting contracts for some large international global organizations, as well as some local community colleges and some local startups. I had studied economics in developing countries and culture and a few different languages in undergrad. So I went to build on that and work internationally. And all that led to a full-time position as an instructional designer in a multinational corporate setting, which then, of course, led me into working for an international NGO as a performance improvement practitioner, HRD, human resource development practitioner and instructional designer. And so it was while I was working for Oxfam GB and living in the UK that I finally found my why and what I want to give to the world for the rest of my career. And I was working to end poverty and support women and deliver sanitation and clean drinking water to survivors of disasters as an embedded instructional designer in their supply and logistics department. And I saw all of us making a few rookie mistakes. So I went into literature to see what I could find as a practitioner instructional designer, and there wasn't much. And so all of that led me into really focusing my research and teaching agenda on how to figure out to both do instructional design cross-culturally and in support of communities that have been historically marginalized and discriminated against, as well as to figure out how to help other people who are entering into the profession and upskilling into leadership positions that wanted to work to support diverse learners inside of a more culturally relevant, equitable, inclusive, and socially just way. And so since then, I've been collaborating across the globe, including Europe, Africa, the Middle East, Asia, South America, as well as North America, obviously. And I've traveled extensively through each of these areas as well. I've lived in some places abroad too. So, and then I guess most recently I started working for the Department of Defense and the US Armed Forces. And that was a couple of summers ago. I went to Patrick Space Force base in Florida and lived on base with the military, my military counterparts for a summer, and learned how they're doing their work in that organization. And so I bring all of that perspective. That's where I'm coming from when I teach, when I research, when I help people to get prepared for their next level dream jobs, as well as setting their focuses on where they want their careers to go. Thank you so much.
Wonderful. And she just published a book that's titled, what's the title of your book?
Instructional Design for Organizational Performance.
Right.
It'll be available July 24th on the market.
Wonderful. All right.
Thank you.
Thanks, Lisa.
Thank you, Dr. Giacumo. And you see her QR code on the screen. There's going to be a couple more QR codes. So if you have your phone handy and your scanner, you might want to snap a picture. So let's move along here to Dr. Helen Fake.
Hi.
Dr. Fake. Hey.
My name is Dr. Helen Fake. I'm an adjunct professor here at George Mason University. I actually started my career as an emergency medical technician and ambulance driver. And while I loved responding to people, lights and sirens, what I really loved and learned to love was that since this was a high reliability organization, life and limb were on the line, they were constantly reskilling and retooling us. And it made me fascinated in designing training development programs and how to create engaging workforce programs, which I've proceeded to do at a variety of organizations to include the Center for Medicare and Medicaid most recently, the Motley Fool, multiple government contracting companies, nonprofits, and corporations. When I was at the International Trade Administration, one of the things we were doing was building these amazing training assets. And what we found was even though we were building these with the most cutting edge cognitive principles, no one could find them. So we had all these great library of resources and no one was accessing them. So it made me want to fix this and focus on learning experience design, which took me to this very program. I currently serve as the UX lead on a Medicare Medicaid contract addressing the issue of medical care deserts by creating user-friendly platforms that leverage cloud-based AI and human-centered design solutions to support the 65 million Americans enrolled in Medicare today. I'm also, as I mentioned before, a proud graduate of this program. Dr. Dabbagh is a dear mentor to me, and I maintain close collaborations. As she mentioned, we've written a book together, and I'm conducting research on implementing workforce training and development programs, reskilling and retooling in the workforce in times of these continuous changes, and developing personalized learning programs. So we're even piloting some of these advances, these theoretical principles in a corporate context currently, and doing more research to understand if our theoretical principles are actually existing in the world and how we might further enhance their growth. We've also started exploring how ChatGPT can support learning design using theories of affordances, which is really exciting cutting edge work. I think you've heard a little bit from other people, but what I love about George Mason is the pragmatic lens inherent in the curriculum design. Dr. Dabbagh was talking about project-based learning. Doug was talking about the wonderful impacts that we have. Everything in this program is grounded in authentic challenges and research that drives outcomes. Our project-based curriculum encourages you to tackle complex spaces with tangible work projects that you can point to as mastery in your domain. You're going to get your hands dirty. You're going to have the toolkit to design technical solutions that amplify your skill sets and have a real wide impact. And whether you're looking to become more impactful in your existing role, you're pursuing a career change, or you're looking to obtain a promotion, I've seen firsthand how this program increases learner confidence to tackle the ambiguous and wicked challenges inherent in our age. The curriculum and the connections you build with your fellow students are going to prepare you for whatever comes your way. And I've seen our alumni, I mean, that first picture was so powerful. They rise through the ranks. They've become chief learning officers and leaders within their training and development departments. I've seen them revolutionize existing training programs and find that many students are able to transition their learning from this program to new careers. And as a professor, I can say there's nothing more rewarding than to see your students presenting their cutting edge work at a conference, finally obtaining that permission or making the career change they've been so desperately seeking. So I hope by the end of this presentation, you're enticed to take that next step with us and to join this forward-thinking community of change makers.
Dr. Fake, well said. Dr. Giacumo, Dr. Dabbagh, very well said. You really get a taste of the different perspectives and personalities in the program, which will all be focused on your success. So
we have to mention Carla. So I just, sorry, before we go to other slides, I want to mention Carla. You can see Carla Alarcón. And Carla is our administrator. I mean, we can't do anything without Carla. So Carla helps us with scheduling our courses. She helps us with, helps you if you have questions about graduation, about things that, your credits. So Carla just is, jack of all trades, and she really supports the faculty and the students in the Masters of Learning Design and Technology. So Carla, do you want to say a few words? How long have you been at Mason?
Hello, how are you? I've been at Mason for 7 years now. So
Wow.
yes, and as Dr. Dabbagh said, I'm here for them, I'm here for you, so I'm happy to help with any questions or anything you need.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Thanks,
You're
Carla.
awesome, Carla. And as
Thank you.
Netta said, we can't do it without you. So I'm really glad that you're on the call. And those of you who come to us, we hope you come to us. You're gonna talk to Carla, and you want her on your side because she can make things happen administratively that only she can do. So thank you for being here, Carla. And thank you,
Yeah,
Netta.
I can't see anything in the chat again, but please let's move on because we want to give the participants time to ask questions, and there are 19 participants, and we're already at 7:38. So if you want to move to the, so we can talk
Yes,
about
of course.
Yeah.
So Dr. Fake really dove in on some of the career opportunities, as did Dr. Giacumo, but some of these probably look very familiar to you. Instructional design, of course, under that umbrella heading of designers and developers, and then consultants, and then managers. And you can aspire with your master's degree to management ranks. And we talked a little bit about AI, and so we are all of us infusing that into our courses because we think that keeping up with technology is important, but also it's lifelong learning. You start this career maybe at George Mason, or you get your master's degree or e-learning certificate at Mason, but that's not the end of the line for you. In order to stay sharp, you must continuously, build on your skill set. So there's a couple of the job categories that you'll see on Indeed.com and other job sites. And I will move along to the next slide.
What
So
about
this,
the one of the curriculum, the one with the curriculum, please?
yep, it's coming up.
Oh, okay.
It's coming up. Let's talk about money. So you're going to make a big investment coming to George Mason University. And so you should be thinking about what your return on that investment is going to be. We actually have a class on the business side of instructional design. So if you have little experience, less than a year, looking over at the left side of that graph, 56K is where you can start with limited experience. More toward the middle of that line there, from 63K with 1 to 4 years to 70K with 5 to 9 years. And then, of course, from 20 plus years at 78K. These are just some numbers to give you an idea of what you can earn in the field with a master's degree or e-learning certificate. But a lot of what you earn is going to depend on you and what you can do with your design skills and your creativity. So don't think of this as like a siloed salary range. Even with some of the challenges in the tech field, folks with AI skill sets or cybersecurity skill sets on the design side. I was just looking at the Association for Computing website. There's people being offered like huge sums of money to do AI work, design work, and that sort of thing. So there are some that give you, this slide should give you an idea of the earnings potential. So as Dr. Dabbagh was saying, we're getting to the part of the presentation where we're going to talk about what it is we actually offer. And then also we're going to take a look in another slide at some of the courses, and we can talk about a little bit, speak a little bit about some of those courses. But we have an e-learning graduate certificate that's built into the program. And so what that means is if you work on an e-learning certificate, which is a 15 graduate credit program, this automatically applies to the master's program. So you could come in, get your sea legs, so to speak, and then decide once you're with us that you want to do 15 additional credits. And all of these from the e-learning certificate count toward the master's degree. We have a part-time online format that's flexible. So if you're working, you have a full-time job, this can generally fit in. It's important to understand that you got to balance your personal life and your work life and your family life with the program, but you can do it. And we coach you on that. We help you get through that and find that work-life balance. There's our ranking at the College of Education, 67 out of 456, according to U.S. News and World Report. So George Mason is a known entity in higher education, in learning design and technology, in educational technology, in instructional design. And as Dr. Dabbagh said earlier, there's a very big network of alums out there, especially in the Northern Virginia, DC area, of folks who came through our program. And so as a graduate, it's likely, maybe probable even, that if you're interviewing for a job, that person who's interviewing for that job is going to be a graduate of the program. And you've heard the old adage that it's not what you know, it's who you know. I don't know if you agree with that or not, but the relationships you forge at George Mason can allow you to succeed in getting a job or getting a promotion. And then Dr. Dabbagh is going to talk a little bit after I get through this slide, competitive tuition that makes our top-rated education available to more students. We have some incentives, and we'll get to that in a bit. I want to move along the presentation. So there's another one of those QR codes, and I'm going to just briefly talk about the scholarship opportunities. We have a lot of awards at the college, competitive scholarships to qualified students to help defray costs associated with attending George Mason. We have announcements about these scholarships and other notifications that we put out. I just sent some of my students a notification about the deadline for applying for scholarships. And then we also have College of Education scholarships that the Office of Student and Academic Affairs has a lot more information on. But again, you can snap that or scan that QR code. And then there's a sample listing of some of the scholarships down below under that email address, saasuprt@gmu.edu, the Annandale Women's Club Endowed Scholarship, the Student Licensure and Certification Exam Fund, the Helen Keller Scholarship, and more. And so let's continue on.
Yeah, let's go to the curriculum slide.
This is another scholarship opportunity. You see the social media connections, NSF, which is a big government program in the Washington, D.C. area. So that is also something that's available to you. And then, as Dr. Dabbagh was saying, we have a flexible and accredited curriculum. And so these are the courses that we offer. The required ones are on the left-hand side, and the e-learning certificate courses are on the right-hand side. And so, Netta, anything to add about any of these courses?
Yeah, so I want to say here that you can see the same courses are actually on both images, right? And there's a reason for that. So our Masters of Science is 30 credits, and it's designed to be acquired as on a part-time basis, as Dr. Wilson mentioned, because all of you and most of our students are adult learners who work full-time or have families, and therefore we cater for you finishing the 30 credits across 2 years. Okay, if you want to do it faster, we can help you do that. If you have time to take off and, you know, do full-time study, we can work with you towards that. But the program is designed for people who work full-time and want to study part-time. That is why the program is 100% online, and it is asynchronous, right? So you work at your own pace in every one of those courses. We sometimes do have office hours, Zoom meetings that are synchronous, but for the most part, you're studying at your own time, and the courses are asynchronous. Also, I want to say that the courses are in 8-week modules, and therefore we try to have you be taking one course at a time, right? So if you start in the fall, you will be taking, say, one course from when the semester starts with us, August 22nd, let's say, through October something, and then you finish that course, and then you start another course October, say, 21st, and then you finish that one in December. So sometimes you can take 2 courses in an 8-week module, but we will become your advisor. You will be assigned an advisor, and you will work with your advisor to take the courses in, you know, whatever flexible kind of sequence you would like. Now, you have to remember, this is a graduate course program. It is accredited. So there are certain courses that are prerequisite to other courses. You can't just willy-nilly take any course you want anytime you want. So if you look on the right side of the slide, you will see, as Dr. Wilson mentioned, some courses are 2 credits, like EDIT 526, that's the Web Accessibility and Design. EDIT 575, that could be Articulate Storyline, or that could be Adobe Captivate, but this is also a 2-credit course. And then you've got the Innovations in E-Learning, which is 3 credits, the Instructional Technology Foundations and Learning Theories, 3 credits. But you will always start with the Instructional Design course, the EDIT 705, and then you will do the Business of Learning Technologies that Dr. Wilson talked about. And we have a course, a new course called Virtual Worlds, AR, VR, etc. And we infuse AI in all of those. So you've got nothing to lose. We're going to waive the application fee just because you are attending this session. You will communicate with Pam, our facilitator for this evening. We are waiving your application fee. You've got nothing to lose. All you do, the application is pretty straightforward, is you submit a goals statement, like 750 words, like why do you want to study instructional design or learning design? What kind of experience are you bringing into the program? We value your experience, your life experience, your work experience. So do you have experience in teaching, experience in training, experience using technology? That's what makes our field and our program and our students so diverse and so varied. So you can apply for the e-learning certificate. And as Dr. Wilson mentioned, you can have that certificate within 1 year because it's only 15 credits. But then if you look on the left side of the screen, pretty much all of the courses that you see on the right side are also listed on the left side, right? Because you would have completed 15 credits. The first thing you do is you get your certificate, whether you like it or not. Even if you apply for the master's program, we have sequenced the courses in such a way that along the way in the first year, like say you start in the fall, so in December of 2025, you will acquire your e-learning certificate, and then you can continue for 1 more semester and a summer or 2 semesters to get your master's degree. So all of the 15 credits for the e-learning certificate will automatically apply towards the Masters of Science in Learning, Design, and Technology. And again, the courses are in 8-week modules, and they are contiguous, not on top of each other, and you will work with an advisor. We also offer summer courses. And if you don't want to take courses in the summer, you don't have to. I mean, again, this is a graduate program. The courses, you know, we don't have the bandwidth to offer every course every semester, but we work with your advisor to help you complete the master's degree of 30 credits, you know, in about 2 years, as well as the e-learning certificate. So really, you've got nothing to lose. We'll waive the application fee for you. You will start, you'll get the certificate, and then you just have to write a goal statement, and you have to just have 2 letters of recommendations from, you know, people that you've been working with, or your professors from your undergrad, or something like that. So it's a very easy application process. And Dr. Helen Fake teaches, can you go back to the previous slide, please, Doug? I want to talk about the UX design courses. You see the 732, 752 that Dr. Holly has been teaching, but Dr. Giacumo, who's joining us in the fall, will be teaching those 2 courses. They are supposed to be taken back to back, but before you get to those courses, you will be taking the basic instructional design course. We also have the perspectives on learning analytics course that you will also be taking, and the innovations in e-learning. So again, it's a great program. It's really sequenced in a way that's flexible to you, and you've got nothing to lose by applying. As Dr. Wilson mentioned, if you only want the certificate in the beginning, you can apply for the certificate, but I would want to caution you that if you only apply for the certificate and then you decide to apply for the master's program, right, Carla, then you would have to pay the application fee, right? Because
yes, if you apply for the certificate first and then at the master, you'll have to apply again.
yeah, you'd have to like apply again. It's just, how universities work, because the master's program is what is, you have to, yeah.
It's
So,
easy.
so sorry, go ahead, Carla.
Once we add this master as a primary, then you can add the certificate, but unfortunately it doesn't work the other way around.
The other way around. Thank you. Yeah. So I advise you to apply for the master's degree, and then that along the way, so because you're not going to pay the application fee, and then along the way you'll get the e-learning certificate. And then if for some reason you don't want to continue with the master's, you can always opt out of it, right? Right, Carla? They can, yeah.
Once they finish the certificate, yes, they can either resign from the master, or if they need to take time off, and they can reapply without paying the application again. But there is a time limit of 6 years. After that, you will have to.
That's right. So there's a time limit. So yeah, there's flexibility. All right. So that's what I wanted to say about the program. So you want to go back, finish the slides. Yeah.
So we're at the end of the presentation now, and it was kind of a big information dump for you. So if you're a little confused right now, that's okay. We have some time for questions. There's another QR code that'll take you right to the application. And there's a phone number for folks who can walk you through admissions related topics, logistics about being in an asynchronous 100% online program. You see our email address there, online2@gmu.edu, and then the website address next to that arrow. And so at this point, again, we've shared a lot. It's your turn to ask questions. And so I am monitoring the chat. And
I'm happy to read out questions if that's helpful as well.
Yes, very much.
Yeah, and just again, thank you to everyone for attending today. I know we are getting close to cut-off time here. Please do share your questions in the chat. And as I just mentioned, if you are interested in the program and you're not sure who your admissions representative is, the telephone number on the screen here, please do reach out. The email address is also there as well. And the chances are that if you attended this evening, you will receive a phone call or an email from a representative here at Mason to support you with next steps as well. But again, those are the details for you to reach out to. So we've got a couple of questions in the chat already. Our first question comes from Catherine Burke. She is asking, she's curious what the employment rate for graduates is, and whether the salary chart that you guys showed earlier is actually up to date, because it looks a little bit lower than what she's seen and what she was expecting.
So the salary schedule is the latest information that we have. And as I mentioned during the presentation, what you earn really in many ways depends on what you can negotiate. And so the salaries were there just to give you an idea of what the earning potential is. And you have probably heard at this point that the tech sector has been under some pressure post-pandemic as people try to upskill with AI, which has kind of taken over the tech sector right now. And so if you don't have those skills, then you are probably going to be less likely to earn the highest salary or get that job in a very competitive tech sector, which is why Dr. Dabbagh and others were talking tonight, and I was talking tonight about the need to constantly, over the course of a career, keep building your skill set. And so on the admission side, in terms of the graduates that are out there, Netta, is that a question that you can tackle?
Yeah, I'm actually looking at the chat. I'm a bit surprised about this ageism thing. I don't get it. So if you can let them speak, please, Pam, and then I think Holly can address that there is an ageism problem. What does that mean? Versus older job? I don't understand. So anyway, our program is not a tech industry. I just want to make that clear, please. You are not coming into this program to be a tech. It's not about technology. I want to make that really clear. This program, and always has been from when I went to school, Dr. Giacumo went to school, and Dr. Fake went to school. Our industry is not a tech industry. We are learning designers. We are instructional designers. We are curriculum designers. We have principles and learning theories in our field that we use to write a design document, to make a case to the organization about why do you need to spend money and why do we need a budget to conduct training. I have some of my students building a learning ecosystem for their organization. You learn how to do training on demand just when you need it for your employees and a company. Sure, you're going to use technology to create training videos, but that's not the focus. I mean, not all training is going to be using training videos or using Articulate Storyline. There's so many different technologies that you could use. Some training is designed through LMSs. Some training is designed, some of it is online, some of it is blended, some of it is on demand, some of it is mobile applications, some of it is VR applications. You will learn how to decide which type of learning environment is appropriate for which type of learning outcomes and the skills that you want the employees of a particular company to be able to acquire, right? So I'm not clear about this ageism thing. I'm sorry, I don't get it. What is the issue with ageism?
So I believe that question was actually addressed in the chat already. I actually had a question from another student as well who I'm actually working with. They were interested to hear specifically what programs are actually used throughout the masters. They wanted to kind of get some insight there as to what programs you guys use.
What do you mean, what programs? We only have one program, MS in Learning Design and Technology. What do you mean, what program?
So in terms of any software that they would expect to
No, we're not about software. We keep up to date. Dr. Fake can talk about this. We have a course, EDIT 575, that is offered either as Learning Articulate Storyline. Sometimes we offer it with Adobe Captivate, but those things you can learn pretty much on your own. The bulk of the program is not. We're not teaching you software. The 526 is about web accessibility and design. How do you design, training or websites or LMSs that are accessible to people with hearing difficulties, vision difficulties, etc. So again, this program is not about technology. Dr. Fake, do you want to say a little bit about that, please?
Yeah, I just added in the chat. I understand the concern about ageism, and what I would say is that may be for more technical roles. As an instructional systems designer, you're going to be a strategist. You're going to be likely in a consulting role, and you're going to be trying to design for the people, process, and technologies. So what's really great is that you have these skill sets where a little bit more seasoning is going to really benefit you in that role. And what we want to do is make sure you have the toolkit to lead the change and to get technologists in the position that they can make the impact that they're looking to make.
Okay, we also have a question from Vahid. I'm just trying to find it here in the chat.
Yeah, maybe you can
regarding.
let them talk. I don't mind hearing their voices. So if they can unmute and ask the question instead of putting it in the chat, or
Yeah, you're more than
may
welcome
I
to.
offer some perspective on that too? I think
yes,
that
Dr.
what I've
Giacomo.
seen in my experience helping students and working with students over the last decade is that there is a place for everyone. And that's what also I found in my career. So you're going to find the right spot for you. And I think it's reasonable to assume that some people will be looking for a younger person because they have ideas about preconceived notions about what they're going to do with them. But on the other hand, I've seen a lot of employers want the mature, very experienced, very polished employee candidate who's gaining entrance into our field or upskilling in our field to work in that consultant role. It's hard to conduct a needs assessment or an evaluation about gaps, performance gaps in organizations, and to be able to know how to position solution set proposals if you don't have that experience being immersed in organizations in your past. So does that make sense? Like, your perspective as a more mature person is going to be super valuable to the right employer, and you're going to get picked up immediately into that kind of a position.
So we had some people join late, and so we're after the hour here by 4 minutes, but I'm certainly willing to stay online here to answer some questions. There are some interesting questions in the chat. There was one about AI and whether that's going to take jobs from instructional designers and LDT type people, and I don't really see it that way. I think that artificial intelligence is going to become a companion,
Exactly.
to the instructional designer,
Yeah.
and it's the human person, when we talk about human-centered design, that is going to be the difference and understands how that tool is used in a design context to support human-centered design as practiced by instructional designers and other humans.
I totally agree with Dr. Wilson. I have to go. If you want to email me separately to ask specific questions, I'm happy to answer them. I've answered a question in the chat from Vahid Brinoni about the realistic time commitment, and I think we've addressed the issue of ageism. But again, thank you all for your participation. I'm going to leave you in the hands of my colleagues and Pam, who can answer questions about the applications, and looking forward to reviewing your application. Again, you have nothing to lose. We're going to waive the application fees, and we'll hope to see you in our program. Bye, everyone.
Yes, and there was actually one question from Christine as well. I just want to make sure before she leaves here, the percentage of students that come in with a master's degree already. She was interested in how many already come in with that master's degree.
So most of the students who come in post-pandemic with master's degrees who are working in education in secondary schools. And I've actually seen a drop-off in that. Again, I won't try to give you the numbers on that. I can look at those numbers. But more people who are coming to us now are either working inside an organization now where they're practicing instructional design without having formal training in it, or they've taken certificate programs at Udemy, Coursera, and other online organizations out there. And so what they're lacking that's going to allow them to get ahead is not the master's degree, but it's more of the theoretical frameworks, the actual projects that you put together in a team-based environment, as Dr. Giacumo was saying. And those are the people that I'm seeing. come through the program. So yeah, some students have master's degrees, but also we have students who are veterans who don't have a master's degree or a bachelor's degree in our field, but the military training that they get from the US government and other governments really allows these students to excel. So I hope that answers your question in kind of a broad way, but in terms of the stats on who comes with a master's degree, I would have to drill down into that and look at that.
In my experience, about a third of people who are enrolling into graduate programs in this field already have masters in other areas. Sometimes people are coming in with communications backgrounds or engineering backgrounds or marketing backgrounds or English backgrounds or teacher preparation backgrounds. Psychology is a common one. That's not to say that you wouldn't come in with a nursing background. I've seen a lot of people do that, or allied health field. So I think it's very, very common at this day and age when we're lifelong learners and we're transitioning through our lifetimes and through different careers to have multiple master's degrees. And it's okay if it's your first too.
Okay, thank you very much. I was curious about that. Thank you, because I'm toying with pursuing a doctorate versus another master's degree, and so I was kind of curious if other people were coming through this already having completed master's degrees. Thank you.
Yeah, so I think Christine, I love that question. Should I do a master's? Should I do a doctoral? Should it be a PhD, an EDD? And I think that that's really personal. So if you want to connect on LinkedIn and chat about that and your specific situation and your goals, like I'm happy to share my perspective. But I think that those are great questions to ask many people, like not just us, but also people in your network and people with roles that you aspire to.
Yeah, thank you. I've already been trying to peel apart the differences between the PhD, the EDD, and actually a doctorate of speech pathology, so an SLPD degree. But it all comes back to the same thing. I want to be able to teach adults, and and so this kind of ties everything together, and it's not as big of a time commitment. So and cost. So
right.
There's obviously time and money.
Yeah. So I don't know anything about those other fields, but for our field, people are commonly coming through our programs and then getting jobs as IDs and trainers. And then those kinds of roles, you are teaching adults in organizations. And I really loved it. I loved being a trainer, and I love being an instructional designer inside of corporate America, as well as NGOs and government agencies and the Department of Defense. It's really, I thought it was awesome. So
I appreciate it. And I actually did take your link, so I'll connect up with you up on LinkedIn too. So
awesome.
So
thanks. Yeah.
My experience has been too that people come, it's always great to ask an instructional designer, like, how did you get here? Because there's always this amazing story. I mean, like, it was great to hear your story today, Lisa. I hadn't heard it yet. So
thanks. Yeah, I've done all the things like most people in our field. Everyone has a different journey through. Vahid, I think you're raising your hand.
Yep. Pam, can we hear from Vahid?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Please unmute yourself and ask your question, Vahid. Go ahead. Looks like you are unmuted, Vahid. We can't hear you, unfortunately.
So I noticed, Lori, you asked a question, would a PhD in another field make it harder to get an entry-level job in this field? So I'm not exactly sure what the context behind your question is. Like, do you have a PhD? Are you thinking you might go get one and then come? So I've worked with students who are in online, 100% online, asynchronous, and political science. Okay, so that makes sense. Yeah. So you have a PhD. So I have had probably 4 or 5, maybe 6 students so far in my last 10 years who already have PhDs in different areas. Criminal justice is one. Actually, instructional design from an academic perspective, and they wanted to do workplace. I worked with somebody like that who came back for our master's degree because we're very applied, and we do projects like we were saying in the earlier portion of this program. And so they came back and got applied master's degrees because that was going to help them get entry into the position that they wanted to. So no, a PhD in a different area, that if you possess one, actually that adds to your portfolio, because what people know about you is that you're able to analyze data at a pretty sophisticated level, which is something that people in our area do on occasion. Everybody does something a little bit different, but if you are interested in data analysis, those jobs exist. And so they look at you and they see, oh, you have grit, you have determination, you know how to get things done, you can work independently, you can ask for help when needed, you have learned how to learn. I want you, right? So I have not seen that as a deterrent at all in my experience. I can't speak for all of the world, but the people I've worked with, it's only been a helper, not a hindrance.
Okay, we've got a question here from Vahid in the chat. He asks, can you please talk about the faculty's experience level, and will students be exposed to practical learning in the industry from experienced practitioners?
So, yeah, we covered some of that.
Yes.
And so I know we had some folks joining
Wait.
after we had started, but the program is based on inquiry-based learning or problem-based learning or project-based learning, which is to say that everything is authentic learning and applied and practical, which basically means that we ask our students to come in and define problem statements. Where are the pain points in the context that you want to work in? Many students bring, many students who are working in the industry or working at a company and have an assigned training duty to make training, bring their problems to us for their organizations, and we help them solve those and write plans and develop tools and training materials to solve those problems with evaluation plans and some other pieces. So it's all applied. It's very practical. But I think it might have been Lisa or Holly, Dr. Giacumo or Dr. Fake who said it. It's all evidence-based. So this is not stuff that we're pulling out of the sky. There's a whole body of literature to support design decisions. And what we do is coach you through how to marry that evidence with your idea about how to solve an instructional problem typically, but there's other problems that our students look at. Did I answer your question?
I don't know if this works. I don't know if you hear me now.
We can hear you, Vahid.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
great. Yeah, well, yeah, I appreciate that response to that question. I guess my underlying question is, you know, what I learned, is it going to be something that immediately right away I can be set free into the working public and have the skills and the knowledge? And I apologize, I joined you late, so you may have already answered it. But is it something that I'm going to be equipped right away after taking the courses and the content to be set free and into the wild? Thank you.
Yes. The short answer to the question is yes. And the reason I can say that is, as others have expressed here, the problems that we ask our students to address, they're all authentic problems. And another way to say that is the problems that our students address come from the real world. The George Mason values and mission ask of students and faculty members. As you teach and as you learn, one of the things that we expect you to do with all of this is to take action, to use the skill set that you're developing so that when you finish, you're prepared to lead. You're prepared to be that person at the table who knows a lot about how we can use technology and different things that we have in our toolkit as instructional designers to solve problems. And you start doing that on day one. So by the time you finish an e-learning certificate, or by the time you finish the master's program, you have a collection of evidence of not just some paper you wrote, which you're going to do in the program, but you have evidence for something you made or something you designed that's evidence-based. And that's going to be in whatever organization you work in. That's going to be powerful when you're the one at the table directing or trying to encourage leadership within an organization about a direction to head. You're going to be armed and ready and confident to do that. So yes, I gave you the short answer and the long answer.
All right, thank you, Dr. Wilson.
Thank you.
Yeah, in the interest of time, I do see quite a few participants have logged off there, and we've got a couple still staying. If you did join late, as I say, you are more than welcome to reach out to us directly. We will have a recording of the entire evening this for you to share with you. So please do reach out to us at 703-348-5006. Telephone number there is on the screen, and that's also the quickest way that you can get in touch with your admissions representative as well. You can also email us with your questions, and of course visit our website to learn more about the program. So to reiterate, if you have more questions or if you'd like to get a recording of tonight's presentation, please do reach out to us. And again, taking this opportunity to thank everyone for joining us this evening, especially our presenters. Offered a wealth of information about the program and took out time this evening to be with us as well. So thank you so much to everyone. I do believe we were all able to cover those questions in the chat. So thank you to our presenters as well for getting involved there. Really do appreciate it. So it's our last call for any questions. I'm going to give you guys like 10 seconds to add anything else if you have something. Otherwise, we will need to log off for the evening. All right. Thank you so much again, everyone. Have a great rest of your night.